PlayStation Experience was this weekend, and there were some big announcements. Now, obviously, we're not going to go into anything. The first day was basically just a big ad for the PS Pro, which we still kind of scoff and laugh at. Like, I need a system that's 20% more powerful than the $400 one.
4K.
It's on a PS5.
It doesn't even render all games in native 4K. It's like a little bit higher resolution that upscales to 4K. Some are rendered, I don't know. It's just such a mess. Anyway. But it's still a great system. They're doing really well, and there were some amazing games that were announced. In fact, this was way better than, what was the last thing? The Game Awards, which, there was maybe one cool announcement on that thing. A lot of cool stuff from this. The crowds were going nuts. First big game, because obviously we're not going to list them all, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which is going to be a separate chapter that deals with, it's a prequel with Chloe and Nadine from Uncharted 4. I'm super excited for this. Have you played the Uncharted games?
I played the second one. It actually came with my system.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a great game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the firing and everything was completely contradictory to any of the shooting games that I had.
It's different. It's its own thing.
Yeah. So I was playing Call of Duty, then I started playing that, and then I went back to try to play Call of Duty, which I'm not good at anyway, and I was just getting owned even more by 13-year-old kids in their mom's basement. So, but no, I loved it. I thought graphically, solve the puzzles, that aspect of it I loved.
Those games are absolute masterpieces. If anyone wants to know what a modern game could be, they've got to play the Uncharted series because it's amazing. Yeah. And, 4 just came out literally last year, but that tied the series so well together. And I think that they're definitely setting up down the road for maybe, their daughter to take over. But anyway, the fact that we're getting another one so quickly, because I don't know if anyone expected this or maybe just a quick add-on levels that they're going to do, but the fact that we're getting a whole another big chapter, because Chloe wasn't in the 4th one. And having her in, but Nadine was, and having her, and she's a fan favorite. She's awesome, and getting to play it from her perspective, this looks awesome. So I'm super jacked for this. I don't know if you guys are into fighting games. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 remastered for PlayStation 4, immediately available. PlayStation 4 exclusive. Street Fighter 2 was cool when we were kids, but I don't.
I loved them in the arcade.
When you get those matchup kind of groupings, those never really.
Have you watched some of the Evo Championships and some of these professional tours where they play like Marvel vs. Capcom 3? It's a visual spectacle. You have to have these lightning quick reflexes to play any of these fighting games against each other, which is why you always see, about the same 20 to 30 people that are always in the top tiers at every tournament. But I haven't played Marvel vs. Capcom. I know the basics of, it's the Street Fighter 2 kind of, fireball movements and stuff like that, but watching it and the visual spectacle of it, it's so quick and so consistent. It's very different than Street Fighter because every combo you're looking to take a 200 hit combo on the other guy. Very cartoony, very comic booky, but it looks really cool. So not for me, but for people that are into that type of stuff, that's really cool.
I like the Injustice stuff.
Isn't that kind of like more like
that
Mortal
had a
Kombat?
Storyline?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was DC, but they tied the storyline into it, so you got to play with different characters.
There's a whole comic book line around that, isn't there?
I don't know if there's a line. I know they released a specific comic that kind of did the lead into why you essentially have this
oh, okay. Okay, like backstory type of thing. Because isn't it like that's Lois dies and Superman goes like batshit crazy or something?
He does. Yeah, she dies, and I think it's tied back to the Joker as far as instigating some kind of hallucination where Batman inadvertently, Superman inadvertently kills Lois.
Oh, Superman killed her?
Yeah.
Really?
I believe that's the case. And then, so of course that kind of pushes him over the edge, and of course that kind of
he goes super dark.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a cool take. I mean, hell, they could have tried that Batman to be Superman. Anyway, Destiny. I'm not big into this game. I know it's big, but there's a new thing coming out, The Dawning. Are you into Destiny?
Awesome. Yeah, I've played the first one, and then the second, the expansion, King's Throne or whatever. It's called.
The something King. This expansion is for that one. It's like where you get they look like speeder bikes. You get to do a lot of racing on them. It's supposed to be pretty cool. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy from the ground up remakes or remasters, whatever you want to call it, where they basically took the original geometry, but they've completely rebuilt it from the ground up. So this is high def. It's even rendered so it can be played in 4K in the PS4 Pro. Because, when you're playing Crash Bandicoot,
Oh yeah,
that's one thing that you definitely need is that higher resolution for those cartoons.
Exactly.
Looked cool, though. It looked really cool. And this has got to be something where they're testing the waters, that if this does well, maybe they'll actually make an original new one. But this is kind of a safe way to go about that. I know that last year, PSX, one of the headliners was wearing a Crash Bandicoot shirt, and everybody freaked out thinking they were going to announce Crash Bandicoot, and they didn't. And they said, no, we didn't mean anything by that. Well, if this game's coming out, that they were working on it back then, so it must have been a little drip. So that was really cool on their part. Here's one thing that I am excited about. Resident Evil 7 demos are out immediately as of today, and it is really going. I know that 4 was awesome. What Resident Evil games did you play, Matt?
I played the 1, 2. I played 4 on the GameCube, and then when I got my Wii, I bought 4 for the Wii. It was like one of the first games I bought for it. And by far, it's the best Resident Evil game.
Oh my god, that was awesome! That was Game of the Year. I mean, that was huge. That was such a different. I hope I can still hear you. Please don't tell me I lost something. Oh, the TV shut off. That's fine. This is what you get for kind of pseudo-live programming.
I blame the production assistant.
Yeah. There's no production assistant. There's
Some
all
grips
in
losing his
between
job.
here. Hold on, let's make sure that we got him set up. LGTV, can you hear us, Matt?
I can hear you.
Okay, there we go. We got you back.
Nice.
I was just saying how that grip's going to lose his job.
Well, it's sitting right here. It's fine with me. But yeah, 4 was awesome, and then 5 I didn't play. Got kind of. It seems like the reviews didn't go as high for that, and really started to dip because they went way more actiony. I think they took the wrong route from 4 because 4 is
It was kind of a rail shooter, the 5th one, I think.
Yeah, I mean the series is always its bread and butter has always been survival horror, but then over the progression of the series, it started to move away from that kind of towards more action shooter, which might have its element in there, but it's that's not what the big pull of the game was.
And then didn't 6 do even more of that? Like they kept going down that road or something? I didn't play 6, but the reviews weren't kind.
I can tell you that 4 was awesome because it was like first game I remember that was in surround. I remember playing it in the living room in the surround, and you could hear the zombies or whatever sneaking up on you, coming up from behind. I mean, it was almost unnerving.
Well, I remember the 4 was the first jump where it wasn't like preset perspectives from room to room, and that over-the-shoulder view where you're walking very slow and, add in the surround sound and just the atmosphere they put in that game. Yeah, there was more action in that game, but it kept the fundamentals that made the first 3 so good is that it was constantly leaving you in suspense.
Something that's just around the corner.
Yeah.
Something that's going to get you.
And then 5 and 6 went all actiony, and they lost that element. And now it looks like that pendulum is definitely swinging back because they're going big suspense and horror, and this looks awesome. And the whole thing from start to finish is also playable in PlayStation VR. Which she even said on stage, if you're really brave, because it's scary as shit. And here's what I'm thinking about that. That would be super cool, but I'm really wondering how that's going to play out after that game comes out in the coming months. Because the whole issue with, have you used VR at all, like the Oculus or anything like that?
I've used that. I've used like the 360 views and stuff like that.
But you've used like a Rift, the expensive one that you hook up to a PC that you can move around, not just direction.
No, I've only used the phone ones.
Because the whole challenge with locomotion, imagine you got your controller and you can look anywhere, but then you move the joystick to move you, and your whole world moves. It's really jarring and can make you sick. How are they going to do that with an entire game? Let alone the scaring aspect, which is probably why she said if you're really brave. Because there's going to be a shitload of people throwing up from this game and not just from the horror.
I'm thinking more like, the images are virtual, but the urine in your pants is totally real.
There you go. There's a tagline. I'm excited for that. We're going to have to get the demo and try that out because the demo's live as of today. So that's cool. And then there were some remasters from some old school games. I didn't really get any of these. Parappa the Rapper, Loco Roco, Patapon. They showed a new trailer for Ni no Kuni 2. Now, I'd never even heard of the first one. I remember when this was announced, I think over a year ago. Just watching it was really cool. Here's what this reminded me of. I know that, and we're going to talk about this later in the show, that the new Final Fantasy, and I guess it's not really new. Since 7, they kind of went techie and Midgar and all that stuff. When I still think Final Fantasy, I think castles, adventures, monsters, and swords. Old school classical, not techno-punk, this is kind of a sword with 3 different metal blades that can fold up and transform. I think old school. When I saw this Ni no Kuni, yes, it's more kiddie and anime, but man, it looked gorgeous, and it looked like this RPG where you're playing.
There's a reason for that too. The animation, it's coming out of Studio Ghibli over in Japan, and I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this, but that's the same one that did the films like Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away. Spirited Away is actually the animated film that won the Oscar for that category, and this is the same. It's the same studio that's doing it, and it kind of follows along the line of how they do their movies, and that it is kind of like it is an RPG, but it's really not geared more towards like the hack and slash, where you're not burning things
like
up
a
with
JRPG
a fire spell
type of thing.
Well, not necessarily that either. It's more just about kind of telling a very compelling story. The original got really, really strong reviews.
Yeah,
and it was able to do it by actually catering towards a very, very family demographic. You're not going to be seeing like extensive, scenes of violence or things of the sort. I mean, it's just, and that's the same thing that kind of goes with the films, in that you're able to get this really great story that's just really visually appealing. They do some really interesting stuff as far as how they design characters, creatures, everything, which you can tell from the trailer. And just make that be the driver that really pulls you in. So it's very, very engaging in a way that's almost really unconventional with what you would see from a traditional RPG.
That's cool. It looks gorgeous. Have you ever heard of this game before, Matt? I'd never heard of it before.
I haven't. I watched the trailer. I know that type of game. There was one on the PS2 that got a classic version when PS3 came out, and I can't remember the name right now. Really, it was no combat. It was all like solving problems and talking to ghosts and stuff. So it was really like kind of a mellow game, but it was great. I mean, the visuals were PS2 visuals, because even when they remastered it, it was just still that kind of
they just up-res it or change the textures, but the geometry is the same.
But it was a great game.
That looked amazing. That looked really cool. I never played the first one, but watching that, I would definitely, I'd probably end up watching you play more, because I only have so much patience if a game's not simple like Zelda. We'll see how Breath of the Wild turns out.
It's about building stats.
I know. Grind. How many times did you start over in, not Bloodborne, but what was it? What's the other PS3 game that you have that definitely...
It is Dark Souls.
Dark Souls.
And I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. Start over like 50 times. Okay.
I don't know if it was an announcement for that, but that Last of Us Part 2.
We're getting to that. Yep, hold on for that. Some of these other games, a lot of these are indies, and the indie games, it's amazing. Remember when they first had digital downloads that you could get, not just from like the WiiWare and the Wii, but like even PlayStation 3 and on Xbox Live Arcade, there was kind of this big perception that, well, you can get these $10 or $20 games, but you don't consider them real games. They're from someone that made them in their garage. And over the past 10 years, that's really evolved so much that now you have these amazing indie games. And I was watching trailers for like 4 of these. I was blown away. This is such a good time to have a PlayStation or even an Xbox for some of these indie-developed games, because they've really democratized the whole game playing field, where it's not just one person, and sometimes it is, and they can do a good job, but you've got these small studios that'll spend 3, 4, 5 years on a game, and they're just gorgeous. And some of them were, man, I thought would be right up your alley. That was like anime. It kind of reminded me of that. What's that one where you're always fighting? Dynasty Warriors?
Oh, okay.
Like that, but a lot more intense. This game called Vane looked awesome. Look up the trailer for that afterwards in PSX. Looked awesome. I don't remember what this one was, but I must have wrote it down because I liked it. What Remains of Edith Finch. And then there was this cool game too called New Machina, which just looked amazing. Then they showed off some more stuff from Horizon Zero Dawn, which is just going to be a huge tentpole.
Oh yeah,
that's going to be a huge franchise that they're going to spawn many of. Have you seen much from Horizon Zero Dawn at all?
I haven't yet.
Oh my God, you need to check that out. It looks gorgeous. It looks
open world. It mixes just tech with
actiony too.
Yeah, yeah. The way that they're able to kind of blend these multiple elements of science fiction and almost medieval type gameplay.
So creative.
Yeah.
When people keep saying that everything's become derivative now and there's nothing but sequels, or it's either a platformer or everything's open world now. Look at this.
Yeah.
This is brand new IP that is just gorgeous.
sky's the limit.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited for this game. That looks amazing. And then they ended with, and they surprised everybody. Now, when they started showing Uncharted at the beginning, I thought there's no way we're going to get 2 Naughty Dog developed games again. And then they showed off The Last of Us Part 2, which looks... God, that opening scene with the hand alone, you're like...
Yeah.
I can't believe the visual acuity. What a great time. This is the midway cycle now of the generation when they're really starting to master the hardware. And you look at, Mario 1 to Mario 3 and the Nintendo. Look where we're at right now in the PlayStation 4 and what they're able to achieve, because even showing Ellie's eyes and her face and stuff, this is just getting crazy. And you know how good that story's going to be. So I know the director was even talking about how he was not going to make a sequel unless they had a good story for it. He goes, we're not just going to make one because of the box office. That's not how we do stuff. So the game's way out, years out. But oh my God, you saw the trailer for that too?
I saw the trailer. I was excited. I played that game from start to finish. I was disappointed it was so short.
Really?
I mean, I wanted to play it again. Yeah, I felt like I could have spent another 10, 20, 30 hours.
Because you can spend a lot more time going around and doing stuff, can't you? I mean, it's more linear, but
you can't. It's not quite as open world as what you would think of as far as open world is. There's room to kind of do some exploring, but you're still more or less kind of pushed down like a
which they kind of need to be for a story that strong.
Yeah. But yeah, it's that experience is so engaging as far as just the visuals were incredible, and the mechanics as far as. This isn't just an immediate response. You almost have to be somewhat tactical as far as how you approach these fungus infested people.
Yeah,
and just to kind of stay alive. And it had those elements. It had the elements of just almost the survival horror of just and you don't know if it's what's coming after you is something that's an infected being, if it's maybe a government agent looking to hunt you down, but always on your toes, and it really just kind of captured all these in just a very, very engrossing game.
They could have easily just ended that with one. I love how the ending was so different and even pissed a lot of people off.
I think it made sense.
I did too, but you know what? It's not the happy ending that you traditionally get as far as, I can't wait to see how they play that up in the second one.
Well, I mean, I don't think there really could have been a happy ending for that game. It's either you save humanity, or you watch it, or you kill a little girl, or...
You know what I mean? Like, all of society, or, I mean, if it was me, I'd give my life, but obviously it's for your daughter.
I did not spend 30 hours looking at all of society. I spent 30 hours watching this little girl develop a very strong bond that, honestly, I think he made the right choice.
America! Yeah. Awesome comments. What games did you see at the PSX that you liked the most? Let us know in the comments below.